Hi there, it's Mike from Lanzarote Information with this week's news and weather from your favourite island. This week we're coming to you from our makeshift studio in our hotel room in Krabi in Thailand. We moved location, we were in Phuket, and we're spending this weekend in Krabi discovering all that this resort has to offer, and obviously drawing comparisons with Lanzarote, which we're sharing with you on our Camel Travel Facebook page. So if you want to follow our travels, go to Facebook and search for Camel Travel, find our page, and we're posting all our photos, videos and information about this trip on there. But let's get back to Lanzarote, and all the news this week has been focused pretty much on weather. And that's because it was all about storm, well, in English we call it Claudia. In the Canary Islands, they're calling it Claudia, Storm Claudia. And I kind of feel sorry for the Cabildo of Lanzarote, because the last time we had some proper weather in Lanzarote was back in April, and we had some very, very heavy rain that was really localized in Costa de Gizeh and Arrecife, and it caused some severe flooding. So everyone complained that they hadn't had enough warning about the rain, that people were caught out in it, their houses were flooded, there were no sandbags and all those kind of things. So I kind of understand why, with a lot of warnings coming from the weather service AEMET about Storm Claudia coming towards the island, a lot of decisions were made which in retrospect may have been a bit over the top, but schools were closed, the port of Arrecife was closed to cruise ships, all outdoor sports activities were cancelled, and everyone was told to sort of batten the hatches and await the arrival of the storm. As it happened, the storm hit the western islands much harder, and then once it had sort of delivered its worst in those parts of the Canaries, it kind of veered northwards, so it didn't hit Lanzarote and Fuerteventura nearly so badly. Nevertheless, there were some pretty big winds, gusts of 80 to 90 kilometers per hour. Power lines were taken down in some areas, but the rain wasn't very heavy at all. The heaviest area was in Aria, but even that was only about 12 litres per 100 square meters that actually fell, which is a relatively small amount. So Storm Claudia arrived in the early hours of Thursday morning, continued for most of Thursday, and then its job had been done and it moved on. And from Friday onwards, the weather got back to normal for November, which is temperatures in the kind of mid-20s, falling to the mid to high teens at night. Now, next up in the news, the new letting law has passed in the Canary Islands Parliament. Now, those of you who watch these bulletins regularly will know that we've been talking about this letting law for the best part of 2 years. It was actually 20 months ago that the first draft was released to the press, and we sort of scoured it and tried to understand what was going on. The whole basis of this letting law is that the sector known as Vivienda Vacacional, which is privately owned holiday letting properties in the Canary Islands, has really got out of control in the last few years. It's got to the point where everybody seems to have their annex or a second property on the market for holiday letting, and it just isn't being regulated. So this letting law is seeking to regulate the sector. And it's looking, the two key things in it that are different to what we've had before is that the control goes to the municipalities. Now, Lanzarote is divided into 7 municipalities. So if we take Puerto del Carmen as an example, it's in the municipality of Tias. So Tias will have control of the number of properties that are licensed for holiday letting in their whole municipality, and Gizeh will have control of all of the holiday letting in their municipality. The second key thing is that each municipality will be given a target, a maximum percentage of the housing stock that they should strive to get down to. So, for example, in Yaitza, which is where Playa Blanca falls, currently something like 18% of the housing stock is given over to holiday letting, and the aim will be to get that down to around 10%. And the objective of this new law is that they should have a window of about 5 years to reduce the number of properties being holiday let down to a more reasonable figure. Now, there's a lot more detail to it in the background. There are rules about communities and how the way communities must vote to allow their properties to be holiday let. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to unpack in this, and that isn't for this very early first bulletin, because the law, the draft only became law yesterday. We will be working on an article, and I'm almost certainly be doing a video specifically on this subject with all the detail over the next few weeks, so look out for that. But in the meantime, it's worth pointing this out because this really illustrates part of the problem. We had the figures in which come in every couple of months or so for newly registered viviendas vacacionales. Those are the holiday homes that we've just been talking about. And I'm looking down because I'm actually looking at my iPad, but the number of holiday homes registered on the island of Lanzarote for holiday letting has reached 857, so almost 11,000, and that's doubled since 2023. So the number of homes for holiday letting has doubled in just 2 years. Most of them, 3,046, are in the Yaitza area, which includes, of course, Playa Blanca. A little bit under 3,000 are in the Tias area, which includes Puerto del Carmen, and in Teguise there are 2,182. Across the Canary Islands, over the last 2 years, there have been another 30,000 homes registered for holiday letting, and that is more than the total number of properties that have been built on the islands in the last 10 years. Now, next up, the LZ30, which is the main road that runs from Teguise past the Famara roundabout up to the Monumento Campesino where Mosaga is. That has been closed for ages and ages, and it was while it was being completely refurbished, so new asphalt, new signage, new painting on the road and all that kind of stuff. It's been quite frustrating for us because we quite often have to go over to that side to visit friends and go out for meals, and it's a long way around for us going to that part of the island from Aria, and obviously the same applies to people coming the other way. Well, the great news is that road has now reopened, and it had been closed since the 6th of October, but we'll be able to enjoy the smooth, lovely asphalt on there when we get back to the island soon. Now, the last 3 pieces of news this week are all about rescues. And we'll start with one in Playa Blanca, where a 27-year-old German man had to be airlifted by helicopter after he fell over in an inaccessible part of the Papagayo beaches and damaged his hip, injured his hip. And he had to be airlifted out of that area and taken to hospital. There was another incident in Mirador del Rio, the north end of the island, where 2 paragliders had to crash land once again in a very inaccessible area of the Mirador del Rio. Neither of them were hurt, but rescue teams had some difficulty actually finding where they were, and they had to use drones to do that. In the end, the drones found them and they were able to escort them back safely down the mountain. And the last one was in the area of Los Charcones, there are sort of natural pools there which are quite an attraction for people to go and swim in. But 2 couples had to be rescued there after they were swept onto the rocks by a big wave in the area. The 2 couples were both tourists, one from France, one from Catalonia. The 2 men were both taken to hospital. One woman with minor injuries was taken to the Playa Blanca Health Centre, and the other woman was uninjured and didn't need to have any treatment. But it's just worth mentioning that whilst the coastline can be spectacular when the winds are strong and the waves are big, and they can be super photogenic, It's also quite a dangerous place to be, and bear in mind this is the Atlantic Ocean that surrounds Lanzarote. It is unforgiving when it's angry, so use a bit of common sense, use a lot of caution when you're close to the coast when there is weather happening on the island. So as usual, now I'm going to give you 3 things you could be doing on the island if you are here over the next 7 days or so. And the first of them is going to be this evening, Saturday the 15th of November, and this is taking place in Teguise, and this is called Bel Canto Espectacular, and it's a singing spectacular, and it's a gala of opera, and it features 3 very well known in Spain opera singers, and they are performing at the Convento de Santo Domingo in Teguise. So this isn't Costa Teguise, this is La Villa de Teguise, the main town in the centre of the island. It starts at 7 p.m. and costs €15. As always with these, if you want more information, go to lanzaroteinformation.co.uk, click the What's On button, go to the date I'm talking about, and you'll see all the detail on the event together with a map which will show you where the location is. Next up, and this really is a little bit different, there is a vegan fair taking place in Aria in the north of Lanzarote, and stuff related to veganism taking place all day. There's a big program of events. The whole thing kicks off at 10 o'clock in the morning. This is on Sunday. There is going to be live music. There are yoga workshops. There are vegan cookery workshops. There's a breathing workshop. There's another group on in the afternoon. And there's even children's vegan cooking classes. So if you're interested in veganism, or indeed you are a vegan, it might be something you will enjoy. Sunday the 16th, and it runs from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. And finally, and you can do this any time now right up until the 23rd of November, there is a photo exhibition taking place in Yaiza. Now, the theme of the exhibition is La Isla Indomable. And the artists exhibiting there are Alessandra Antonini and Pamela Biocchi. And apologies, Pamela, if I mispronounced your name. I think they are both Italian photographers. It's completely free of charge to go and visit. It's open every day from, I'm just checking the times here, from 11 till 1 and then 4:30 until 6:30, and this is taking place at the Casa de la Cultura, which is the House of Culture in Yaiza. Yaiza is such a beautiful village to visit, so if you have a free day and you have access to a car, I'd strongly suggest you go and visit Yaiza just to have a walk around the village, but also to enjoy this exhibition of photographs. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, if you've enjoyed the video, please give us a like. If you've got any questions about Lanzarote, please leave them in a comment below. I read all of the comments. I'm happy to answer your questions. And just a final reminder, if you want to follow our travels through Thailand, and right at the end of the month we'll be going to the Qatar Grand Prix, do follow our Facebook page, Camel Travel. Just search for Camel Travel on Facebook and you'll find it. Once again, thanks everyone, and bye for now. Bye.